it. Welcome. So a little bit of an update. So I finally decided to actually figure out a couple things as far as audio. I finally got the mic going the right way. So if you're gonna notice it that it sounds a little bit different, that's where it's from. I'm gonna try not to scream because this thing is really highly sensitive. So I tend to have a really, really strong voice. Those of you who know me know that, and the ones who don't, well, you're gonna find out the hard way. So if I blow out your eardrum, my apologies, number one. Number two, you may want to turn the volume down. So welcome. Today is September 19th, 2020. Anyway, welcome, like I mentioned before. So I tried to do like a short little podcast earlier this week, kind of in the middle of everything that I've been trying to do, and it just didn't quite pan out, didn't quite work out. So a little bit of peeling back the onion over here. So when you kind of review your analytics on these things, right, and it's something that you learn as you go, and this is Oscar basically giving you his so-called training. It's challenging in itself because you have to realize that these analytics, they really depend and they judge and determine how your algorithm is going to be seen by people, how often it's going to be seen, and how successful, and whether you're actually going to be projecting to the audience you want to target, right? So I'm looking at the analytics, and I was looking at the views from my very first videos, and damn, it was upsetting, depressing, damn near almost like, what the heck? So I wanted to kind of do those episodes a little of a revampment, remaster it. And apologies if you hear my son yelling and screaming in the background. He's just playing in his room. So apologies if you hear that. So anyway, that being said, the first couple episodes, man, I'm not going to lie, they were grainy. They were just kind of like, they were rough, very rough. So, but I saw the episodes in their full completion again. Saw them, I heard them. They sound great. The content is good. The message that I was trying to convey really encompasses what I really wanted to bring to the channel. And those first couple episodes, they were very raw and very straight to the point about what I was really passionate about. So I want to keep the Spotify ones completely alone. However, the ones on YouTube, man, definitely don't look like this. It looks like I'm in a cave or I'm in a room. It's hilarious as hell, by the way, if you're first trying to do this. And okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. You'd be amazed as to the shock that you have to yourself when you actually record yourself and you look at yourself back at your videos without zero filter. Like, this is it, just basically with the lighting and the camera from the phone. Fortunately, I'm not cracking screens, so hey, that's a plus. That's a W for me. But as I'm doing that, and the grainy footage, and that's just a mess, and looking at the lighting, making sure you do it at the right time of day is just nuts. But at that moment in time, I did not have any of those things. I went by the camera from the laptop, and yeah, quality is very different. But I don't want to kind of spin my wheels too much on the camera aspect of it, but more of the content. So when I was looking through the analytics, I realized that the views were low. And it kind of makes you like, damn, really, am I not getting to people? Well, it's going to be tougher than you think. With such a saturated market, multiple podcasts on different subjects, viral videos, things like that, and the in-depth content that you might want to bring might not necessarily be the driving thing to make people run to the laptop and start pulling up your name and watching your videos, right? There has to be content that they feel engaged in. So I started reevaluating it and listening to it, and I realized that I was very belligerent. And belligerent meaning that I used a lot of colorful language that I think might have turned some people away. And sometimes I think I catch myself that I work in construction. So my vocabulary, let's say, is colorful for the aspect of my job and what I do. And when I meet the crews out on site, they don't react well to you being, oh, please, can you do this? May I? No, it's more of, what are you doing? You're violating safety policies. Who's that? Who's trying to fight who? Why so-and-so the porta potty? They won't leave the porta potty for the past 45 minutes. Who's taking their lunch on time? Who jotted their job number incorrectly? Things like that, right? So let's say that my folks in construction understand that you being very, very cordial won't fly. As much as you want to be that way, as much as that's how you feel you should engage, you can't. You know, there's my boys out there, roughnecks, and you guys know exactly who I'm talking about. My operators, hey, excavators, the guys, labor union, construction union, electricians, um, those really tough fields. You guys know that it's you got to talk to folks on the field a little bit differently, right? Now, when you are with your client and you're presenting a proposal or an estimate and you're putting on your salesman hat, it's a whole different perspective, right? But when you're out there on the field talking to your guys, it's a whole different kind of worms. And I realize that I have to catch myself when I talk to the public that not everybody understands that language. Some of you will and resonate with it. Others will turn me off. So after listening to the videos and watching them and being disappointed with it, I decided to kind of rehash some of the topics and post it on this one. So the content on this video won't necessarily be updated. I will talk about some new stuff that I saw this week, but I want to rehash those things because I don't want to do that content a disservice by completely ignoring the point that I was trying to drive home. So the first one was, and what started the podcast and what drove me into doing this in front of you. This is what prompted it. So for many months now, I've been watching social media like all of us do, and I've been scrolling through stuff, and I've been realizing and being more and more disappointed with what I'm seeing and the trends that I'm seeing and how it's all spiraling out of control. Now, again, this is only one person's perspective, one person's point of view that might not necessarily jive with you in particular, but it might. You never know. It might resonate. I might be just expressing myself a little bit differently and using a different vocabulary that you're just not used to saying. So I'll say it for you. You know, I'll cuss for you. Earmuffs, you know, shit, fuck, ass. I'll say it. I'll say it. I'll say it on your behalf. And I'll say it passionately. But the topic that I saw on this one that kind of prompted this, my wife and I, we were in Monterey. And if you guys are not part of California or Northern California, there's a city called Monterey. It's a seaside city, beautiful. It's a little bit more heading south, like Seaside, San Jose, California, Santa Clara. So I'm going to try to do a visual here. So I am here in California, and you can say that Monterey is somewhere here down the middle. Then it's Fresno, Bakersfield, LA, San Diego, TJ, and whatever else is in between, right? So as I'm driving south, and it's a beautiful scenic route, and they have a 17-mile road, which is basically, it's a private road that you have to pay to get into. And it's absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous. You can go whale watching. You can enjoy the scenery. There's a place called Cannery Row, which is like the really touristy part in Monterey. So it's a place where you can go and relax with your partner, with your spouse, even with your family. Go to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. It's a great place. It's clean. It's a good vibe. Just very quaint, right? So when my wife and I are there, because we decided to have an impromptu trip, just her and I, and I'm scrolling through the videos because, of course, right, even all of us are guilty of that we could be with another person, and for some reason, just the camera, or not the camera, but the phone, you're like, let me see my posts. Let me see what's out there, right? In the gaps of where we're like waiting for food, waiting in line, damn, man, I'm telling you, man, just that thing of just going like this, it's nuts. It's just nuts. But I saw a video that prompted this, and when my wife and I were eating dinner at El Torito, which, by the way, I highly recommend. I know a lot of them shut down in the Bay Area, but anyways, I digress. I don't want to go on a whole different tangent. Just let me bring it back to the topic. Let me rail it back in, right? So I'm watching the video, and the video consisted of this in particular. Now, again, some of you might be triggered on this message and might say, hey, Oscar, that's not really a big deal. Well, to me, it was. And let me explain a little bit as to why. So there was a video posted of multiple kids, or this particular high school prom or homecoming dance that was happening. And it was somewhere in Texas. So if you're from Texas, this might resonate with you or not. But as I'm watching the video, I see that there's multiple kids showing up to this dance, which looked to be the prom. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys know what video I'm talking about, or if you guys know the context. I definitely want to know a little bit more into it. And You see kids rolling up in Bugattis, G5 wagons, Mercedes Benz, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, um, really, really, and I mean really nice ass cars. And I mean nice ass cars. And these kids are getting out of these cars and, you know, they're all completely just suited, just looking absolutely stunning like rock stars, right? And I'm watching the video and I'm impressed, right? I'm like, shit, that's phenomenal, man. That's great. However, I got to thinking, like, as a parent, hmm, do I agree with that? Do you? I don't know. So that stuck with me. And I was talking to my wife and I was like, look, you know, this video. And she's like, well, you seem very passionate about it. What makes you so upset? And I was like, if I say it out loud, it might seem like I'm being a hater. But as a parent, I'm looking at it completely differently. And this was the point. When you and I, you listening and you watching, when we were children, when we were kids back in high school, those Gen X folks, late 70s, mid 70s, early 80s, 90s, 95, when the phones finally became a thing, the Nokias. Before that, it was the big ass bricks. I don't remember a time in high school where kids took Ferraris and Lamborghinis or Corvettes or Bugattis to dances. And maybe it's in an area where you lived. That's great for you. But this is from a perspective from an inner city kid that I didn't grow up the way some folks did. Even some folks in the middle, in the Midwest or in the East Coast, or even my folks from the country, I don't recall that. I mean, shit, you were blessed enough to have a pickup truck or a functional Camry or a Toyota or a car, or if your dad had an Explorer, that was the thing. That was like, oh my God, dude, that is badass, right? I'm gonna go pick everybody up. And or if you had a big box Chevy, um, and I don't remember seeing any of this. And it made me think, right? Like I remember my prom in particular. And I remember asking my friend at that time, and I'm not going to say her name because I really don't know where she is or what she's been up to. I lost touch with her for shit 20 plus years. And I asked her to come on a date with me because at that time I wasn't dating anybody. So I went to the prom, I took her there, and I remember asking and pleading my dad if I could borrow his Explorer, his Ford Explorer. 1998 Ford Explorer. Navy blue. Man, that thing was sweet. Such a cool ass ride. It was so smooth. I mean, even back then and shit, man. I'm not like the new shit now, but I'm like, man, that fuck that damn. You know what I mean? Put on some good beats in there and all that. I mean, anyways, it was a whole vibe. And I remember picking her up, and then even that was a big deal. And I had to make sure that the floors were clean, that we didn't eat inside the car because those were specific instructions given to me by my dad. Hey, make sure if you're going to drive it, number one, you're going to fill up the gas tank. So whatever you use, you're going to top it off. Number two, no food or drinks inside this vehicle, no smoking. I mean, my dad went through the whole damn list. And I abide by it, right? I didn't want to burn bridges, and especially like I wanted to impress the girl in a way. And I wanted to show her a good time. So we did. And I dropped off the car. But I don't remember going to the event and seeing all these things. I mean, I think the most luxurious our school got was some kids had their parents or their grandpa's old ass muscle car, like a Chevy Nova, a Chevelle, an Impala. You know, that's what you would see, low riders, right? If that, but not everybody had that ability. If anything, you had multiple people in one car. And that was as fancy as we got, right? And then you would have some people that would kind of put their money together and they would rent out a limousine. And they would roll up and then it would be a whole thing, man. It would just be like big glamorous. That was the event. But as I'm looking at these videos, I'm thinking to myself, like, number one, if you as a parent are able to afford those vehicles, hey, more props to you. God bless you, man. I mean, obviously you're making the right moves, making the right decisions, you're doing the right things. Um, and but then if you're not, if you're renting a vehicle like that and you're only renting it for a few hours, what are you trying to accomplish? What message are you trying to send with your kid? And it made me think, man. I mean, you're setting up that child, that kid. Yeah, okay, they had a great time because they rolled up in a Bugatti and a G5. And then what? The following day, they go back to driving a Mercury Tracer. So you raised this kid up so much, like right here, that level of like success for a prom for one night, and then take it away the following day, and then they come to the realization of where they're at. And to me, I'm just thinking like, damn, is that the right move? I mean, at high school, I mean, the kid is already figuring it out. They already are kind of starting to build their own narrative of what they want to be. And some of them, in my opinion, might take those things like that and use it as a motive to become better and to do better and to be successful and to go to school and do all this and do all that. But then you have the opposite, what if your kid is not okay with not having that type of vehicle that following day? Hold on one second, please. I have my son barging in. Give me one sec. All right, and we're back. Sorry about that. My son was trying to barge into the room while I was recording. He wanted to be a part of the podcast. I'm like, nah, buddy. Nobody's going to see you on the videos. But anyways, like I was saying, so it just prompted me because some of those kids that were set up this way, they might not take it that way, right? They might try to cut corners so they can obtain those things, but not by legal means, if you know what I'm saying. Not by going to school. Maybe they'll want to become a rapper or something like that, or a producer. And it made me think, dude, like, fuck, are we setting up our kids right? Are we teaching our kids the importance of money and valuing money and saving it? Are we doing that? And I don't think we are, because we ourselves are guilty of it. Not every parent, even those of you listening, got those talks. Like, there was nobody really explaining to you what annual percentage rates were. I don't think anybody really explained high interest credit cards until you found out and you took one out and you realized that you couldn't pay it. And you're like, oh shit. And then my credit's going to shit. Oh shit. Like, it's nobody taught you that. Nobody showed you to some of you listening. Again, if you were blessed to have this, or somebody managed your money, good for you. But a lot of us didn't have that. So when you first open up your checkbook, your bank account, nobody explained to you what you needed. Nobody explained to you how to manage your money, how to save it, how to stack it, how to pay your bills on time, the negative impacts of not paying a credit card on time, thinking that, oh, whatever's going to go away, they're going to send me to collections and whoop-de-whoop. We never took the moment in time to show our kids, some of us, to mean and to understand what that impacts in the long term. So for a short-term gain, it's a long-term impact. With those multiple credit cards that you got at 18 years old and you didn't pay them, you got sent to collections, that negative impact on your credit takes so long to get off until you pay it off. Then you try to move out on your own and you try to rent an apartment. They run your credit and they realize that you have multiple charge-offs and you can't get a bank loan, you can't get a lease. Then you're stuck living with your mama or your daddy or your grandpa or your grandma or your granddaddy or your uncle or your nephew. Anyways, name it. So that wasn't taught. And it's crazy, right? Like how you see a video and it could trigger so many damn things in your mind, like, shit, what are we doing? So I went on this really, really heated rant with my wife about just the negative impacts of social media, and that's what we are celebrating. We are setting the bar so high for those kids that is the expectation or the measurement of success, that we completely fail in showing them how to get there the right way, where you don't have to cut corners. For example, if one of your kids has musical talent, that's great. But not everybody's going to be a Jay-Z. Not everybody's going to be a Little John. Not everybody's going to be a Little Dirk, whatever it is, or the baby. And if they don't succeed, then what's their next plan? What's plan B? What's plan C, D, and E? Because as you become an adult, your options become less, 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 less. And it's frustrating to watch. It's frustrating to see what we're glorifying. Because I think that we are not celebrating the positives enough in as much as we should be. I think we are stuck in a society where we celebrate all the glamour and all the bells and whistles, but we don't give enough love to the hardworking young man that's walking 2 or 5, maybe 10, 15 miles to get to school, graduates early, goes to college, graduates early, gets a job, now is working IT, busting their butt, paying off their loan, living on their own. Those people you never hear about, but they exist. Some of you might be the ones listening, and you lived through it. Some of us grew up in such a shitty ass upbringing that we decided to grow up extra earlier than normal, where it might take somebody else until they're 18, 19 for it to flip a switch. Maybe you figured it out at 14, 15, 16, moved out on your own, raised your own family, got your own apartment, got your own stuff. That's not celebrated. That's not even talked about. But you can talk about kids in Texas and rolling up in their Bugattis and stuff. You can celebrate people swinging their cars in Oakland, California, which also gets a bad rap. You know, it's just, for me, it's just a head scratcher. And I look back and I start thinking, I'm like, okay, where did all of this start? And you start kind of following the breadcrumbs, right? And it starts with media. It begins there. What our kids are exposed to, what they're watching on TV, what they're watching on screen, what they're watching on reels, what's going viral. Because that's dictating to them the way they should behave and the way they should be acting. And we have to be mindful of that, because if they are acting out the wrong ways because they're following the wrong shit and their friends are doing the wrong things. So it's the blind leading the blind. And it's getting progressively worse the older we get. And it's crazy that there is literally only two sides of the coin these days. You're either extreme here or extreme here. There's nothing in the middle. That line in between, it's getting effing erased. Just like how, for example, before you used to have you had to have upper class, middle class, lower class, and poor. Now it's just you either have money or you don't. And that line in between is getting erased, where it's basically gone. It's non-existent. The cost of living goes higher and higher and higher. Meanwhile, the wages that all of us make, including you and I, stays the same. And that is the reason why a lot of us are resorting to these supplemental income opportunities like TikTok, like Facebook, like YouTube, and doing all that, because there is no forum for it. There's nothing else right out there. You can try to do a business and open up a shop and open up a store, but even those are going by the wayside. Those little shopping centers that used to be able to go to a store, where Radio Shack used to be, those are gone. Amazon took that out. I mean, they're long gone. I mean, now it's just online shopping. You don't even go to the store anymore and shop. The malls are dead or dying. You know, it's literally just being flicked off, disappearing out of the face of the earth. And the kids that are growing up, like my son, will never know what a mall was. They'll never understand what that concept was. They'll never see Toys R Us in their life. And that is sad. That is some sad shit, because I remember going to KB Toy Store, going to Toys R Us, playing with all those toys that were unpackaged because you could play with some of the sample toys, and just the absolute joy in every kid's play, and like in their mind, dude. And it was so awesome, so innocent. because you didn't have anything to play with, and you saw a little boy playing with a toy, and you wanted to play with it, so you played with them. You used to have video games that you could try out before you actually bought them, and then you would always just wait around and hover around and see if that little kid was done playing with the Nintendo 64 because your parents weren't going to buy you one because they couldn't afford it. Or when PlayStation 2 came out, when PlayStation 3 came out, oh shit, that was a big thing. And look at it now. People are streaming, clicking, and doing this and being monetized for playing video games. That's where we're trending. And that's okay with that. Nothing's wrong with that. But the innocence that these kids are seeing now is very different than us. And I feel bad for them as well because I feel like the pressures that kids are seeing these days, it's not even close to the shit that we used to see. I mean, with so much exposure, I feel like there is way more opportunity for them to be taken advantage of than we were. Like, the only exposure that we knew was through the people that we knew in the neighborhood, and if that. So what's funny, for example, like my daughter was telling me about some kids fighting in school, and everybody posts it. And one of the kids really got beat up pretty bad, and other schools know about it. Now it's viral, social media thing. Now that kid, everybody knows that he lost a fight. You know the level of pressure as a teenager that weighs on you? Because now people are going to see you, and when they see you, they're not going to think that you're a good fighter. They're going to purposely pick on you, and they're going to push your buttons. So you got another level of stress that you really don't need. Meanwhile, when we were growing up, shit, you didn't know so-and-so was a good fighter. You heard it through the grapevine. It was unheard of. That's where fucking legends were made, dude. Like, oh, did you know about that dude that beat up 3 or 4 people, whoop to whoop? They try to jump him and shit, and he whooped everybody's ass. It's like, okay. And you just took people at their word. Like, that was what it was. Like, you were like, oh shit, really? And then like the whole telephone game would go on. Like, you would tell your buddies and your friends, oh, so-and-so, don't mess with him, bro, because he'll beat you up. There was no cameras. There was nobody recording. It was just people watching. Sometimes just you and that other individual, you guys would just scrap it out and just whoop each other's ass. But there was no guns. There was no stabbing. Well, stabbing maybe. But there was no guns. People weren't quick to shoot and then run away. You didn't have to worry about a 13-year-old talking smack to you when you're in your 40s and you're responding right back and them shooting you. I mean, shoot, and just yesterday, I believe, here in where I live in Northern California in Antioch, there was 2 people that got shot after 10:30 at night on the corner of a street by a restaurant. A 15-year-old got shot in the head and a couple other people, man. I mean, just that, but that's the norm now. And it's not. You see people, doing sideshows and doing knucklehead stuff and breaking into stores and stealing shit. That's the normal thing now. And to some of these guys that are doing this stuff, they're actually filming themselves committing crime. And there's no consequences on it. And we're supposed to be okay with that. And I'm not. And that's why I started this podcast, because I think that I needed a way for me to vent. Maybe it was like my own therapy for me to go ahead and have this and use it as a forum rather than me internalizing this and blowing up on my kids. Maybe that's why I started this stuff. I don't know. But that was it. I mean, that was one of the episodes in particular. And I'm sorry if I rushed right through it, but that's just like a percent of the frustration that I felt during that episode. And I hope I grasped some of it. Now, if some of you might disagree or have a different opinion than that, then that's fine. By all means, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, and do all that. Or go to TikTok and just message me, because I will be uploading some of these clips to TikTok so you guys are able to engage with it. But I would love to hear your input from different parts of the world. Now, again, some of you that were born with the opportunities to you and you had good coaching, mentoring, and all that, that's great for you. You were blessed. But not many of us were brought up that way, and we have to be open to it and receptive to it before we start judging and looking at these videos and pointing fingers and saying, oh, their parents didn't do much. Well, some of those kids, their parents either didn't have the opportunity to engage because they were working 2 jobs. Or in my case, my parents did not know how to speak English. They had to learn it. So They had to go to school to learn English because that was a thing. And then with the broken English that they had to go work two jobs, either janitorial or facilities or whatever, to make rent. In the meantime, I had to basically raise myself at that moment in time, heat up my own food, fold up my own clothes, put my own self to sleep. But that is the reality of a lot of people out there. Maybe that's why we are very impatient and have zero tolerance when kids don't want to clean up their room and they don't want to do stuff. Maybe that's the reason why. Maybe that's why we're not okay with the excuses. Maybe that's why we're not okay with them responding or kind of like undervaluing, or in a way you give them something and they act like okay, blasé about it. Maybe that's why we get so triggered, because we didn't have those opportunities that they do, and we are trying our hardest to provide for them the shit that we didn't get by any means. Now, again, I know that a lot of parents didn't all grow up this way. I get it, okay? I'm not naive to it. But we do have to do a better job in being receptive to different styles, and that kids not all act that same way for X and Y reason. Now you get more kids that are co-parenting. You have less kids getting married, less kids getting pregnant. Shit, our generation was getting pregnant all the time. There's that data that I know is going to be mind-blowing to some of you. Yes, we were the generation that had more women underage pregnancies than they are now. Look it up. You'll be surprised. The drop-off has been like, people don't even want kids. Kids don't even want kids. You know what I mean? Like, it's totally different. In our generation, oh shit, I want to have kids. I want to have kids. Generation now is like, nah, I'm good. I'll be single. I'll go party. I'll do it up. Again, there's nothing wrong with it. So how do we manage that, Oscar? How do we fix any of that? Well, a very simple fix. You start by engaging and asking kids what the hell they're doing. Engage with them. And I say that word a lot is because it means a lot to me, and it's something that we need to practice. Engage. Talk to them. Don't be scared to talk to them. Play with them. Put your own personal agenda to the side and take a moment to invest in that kid, because they are looking to you for direction. They are looking to you for development, to you for coaching. And if you're going to leave it to somebody else to coach and mentor your child, don't get mad if they are turning out differently and they start holding grudges with you. Because those individuals that are raising them in their eyes are creating a narrative of you, of who you are. Trust me. It doesn't matter if it's your own mama or your own daddy taking care of your kid. They're creating that narrative for you. Don't get mad. Don't get pissed off when that's what you see. When your kid acts blasé about it, or they notice, because kids do notice that when Fridays come around, you immediately drop them off and because you want to go clubbing with your friends, because you want to live the single life. That's fine. But just know the impact that you're creating on these kids. Just be mindful of that. And don't get mad when they act out. Don't get mad when they rebel. You can't. Because we used to do the same shit, because some of us grew up the same way. We're following the same cycle we were pissed off back then about. We acted out. Some of us acted out that were living in co-parent situations. We acted out. We were knuckleheads. You could have put us in a private school, etc., and we would feel that, hey, we wanted to party. We wanted to do stupid shit. We were sending a message in our own way. Just didn't know how to vocalize it. And some of us are guilty of falling into the same narrative and doing the same thing. So we can't get mad. There is zero tolerance for you to get mad when your kid is not investing in you because you've never invested in them. Now, I am also not blind to the fact that some of these kids are just little badasses and are going to do their own shit. I know those kids exist. I know there's far few in between ones that actually have a good sense up here in between the ears. But before we do all that, before we go to the whole maybe something's wrong with my kid, or maybe so and so, and that. We have to look within and see if what we're doing is right. Are you giving that kid the opportunity to rent out a Bugatti? Are you sending the right message for him? Are you really taking the time to really work with your teenager about managing their finances, about investing in stocks at a young age, about what a Roth IRA is, about what a 401k is, about what the tariffs are, and how come those fucking bag of Takis now cost way more than they did last week? Are we explaining that to them? Or are we letting them coach each other and mentor each other and give each other just false narratives of the reason why, and they're fucking going to one of these computing shit, you know what I mean? It's like that's not the way it's got to be. We have to stop letting kids coach kids, because obviously it's not working out. The trends that we're seeing, the viral stuff that we're seeing, it's not working out. They need adulting. Even some adults need coaching. And those of you who do have friends that you're able to speak to and talk about your own mental health, which starts up here, you got to start reaching out. Because the second that you start engaging, the second that you start acknowledging and validating those kids and taking the moment in time to wipe out your effing schedule and actually spend time with them, legit ass time with those kids, you will be amazed. But if you're okay with somebody else creating a narrative of how you are as a parent, that's on you. Which parent do you want to be? Are you okay with checking out and just coming in when you need to, when it's appropriate? Or do you want to be fully engaged and invest in that child so they turn out to be a better human being than you yourself think you are? So let's start there. So, with that being said, thank you very much. It's 6:43. It's been a long episode. I'm going to post this probably Saturday, on Sunday. I'm going to go to TikTok next. Appreciate you all. Thank you, and God bless.